Does that give away spoilers? Fuck. I think I'm gonna have to delete that for spoilers. Michelle that loves books. Welcome back to my channel. So this month, this is the June wrap up, everything that I read in June. This month I read a lot. I read 8 books. My reading tracker actually reflects 10 books, but I actually DNF'd 2 of those books, which we'll talk about those in a totally different video. First, to go ahead and get them out of the way, I'm not going to talk about them too much, but I read 2 more books from the Shadowhunters series, which, you know, I have the whole reading vlog going on with that. Those books were City of Heavenly Fire, which I read the physical copy of, the Red Squirrels of Magic, which I listened to the audiobook of. City of Heavenly Fire is the last book in the Mortal Instruments series. It is book number 6. It was nice to finally finish the series. Nice to get a conclusion finally, but to be honest, and to my great disappointment, because I was expecting a very epic ending, this really kind of fell flat for me. This is not my favorite book in the Mortal Instruments series. I think it was really long, and just like, what was it? City of... The last in the TID series, I felt like it went a lot slower, and I can't exactly say this went slower, but it was just really long. And somehow it also felt really rushed. Like certain concepts I felt like you just kind of had to take at face value and were just kind of like rushed to close them up. So I kind of felt that was pretty disappointing. And the biggest thing, I think the thing that sticks with me the most, which I don't know what that says about me, I don't know, but finally, 2 of our main characters finally get to do something, and I did not like it. It was supposed to be an epically sexy moment, and it was just not. And like, does that give away spoilers? Fuck. I think I'm gonna have to delete that for spoilers. Okay, spoiler alert. I just have to say this one thing. It's been eating me up, but that sex scene, okay? It just took all the sexiness out of it. Am I the only one that feels this way? I mean, congratulations for safe sex in YA, but if he'd done it better, it could have still maintained some sexiness. I feel like our guy was being too chivalrous. Like, girl, like, dude, she wants it. Give it to her, okay? Shut the fuck up and just get on with it. Yeah. Anyways, a little overplayed, and it just didn't work for me, and I was very disappointed in that. All right, I'm done ranting. Okay. Next, the Red Squirrels of Magic was really good. I am actually, when I talk about audiobooks, I am going to include the narrator. So if that's something that's important to you, might want to take note. I will also leave it in the description box below. Next, I read the Red Squirrels of Magic. This one was narrated by BD Wong. I think he did a really good job. The Red Squirrels of Magic is a spin-off series to the Shadowhunters series. It takes place right after City of Glass, and it follows Magnus Bane and Alec Lightwood on a vacation. It was a really fun and fast-paced, adventurous book. There's also a lot of sweet moments, and dang it, why do they get like the best, not sex scenes, why do they get the best sexy scenes? And so freaking many of them. It's just not fair. I really mostly appreciate this book for the fact that it's really fast-paced, which was really refreshing. Actually, also, there was like a lot that went into this book, but it just was not as fast-paced. I don't know, something about it was very disjointed. So to have this book flow really nice and have a really fast pace and was very adventurous, we also get a look at the marketplace. Like, I really liked it. Also, something else I really loved about this book was Alec. I finally feel like, for the most part, I've never really connected to Alec. It's probably a universal feeling. And then especially in the most recent, like the 4th and 5th book, I really got to the point where he was just cringy and I couldn't stand him. So this book actually really kind of helped me sympathize with him more. Next up, I read The Dead Poet Society. I actually had this on ebook. I was really surprised by how short this book was. I was really surprised by how short this book was. Going into an ebook, you really have no idea, and it's not until I finish the book and start putting it into like my reading tracker. For ebooks, I actually go and look at the physical book of how many pages are in it. So it only tallies up at about 166 pages. But anyways, this book was so good. It's about a teacher, Mr. Keating, who's an English teacher. at a prestigious boys' boarding school. He's also alumni. He teaches poetry in a really fun and exciting way. The boys, on the other hand, are being pressured by their parents to be doctors and lawyers and pushed into those positions that they are not really exactly passionate about. It's not something that they really want to do. One of our boys understands what he's supposed to do, but he wants to just do a little something for himself, and he wants to do drama. And his dad really comes down hard on him and forbids it. So that's kind of what these boys are going through with their parents. So they're living under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress to live up to their parents' expectations. So Mr. Keating just offers them something completely new that they are not used to. They're greatly inspired by Mr. Keating's teachings, but unfortunately it does kind of lead them to an empowerment of rebellion. And I don't want to spoil anything else for you, but like, it is so good. It is so enlightening. It's just beautiful and tragic and fun and a really quick read, and you just feel so like it was really hard hitting, and I really felt like for these boys I really cared about them. I really cared about Mr. Keating, and I felt like just wanting to be one of his students. Like me and poetry do not get along, but like they have educational discussions on lines of poetry. I was right there with the kids. I want to learn more, and I just really liked that part of being a reader to this story. Next up, I read the entire Truly Devious series. That's Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stare, and The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. The first one I read in physical copy, the second two I listened to on audiobook. Those were narrated by Kate Rudd, and she did a really good job as well. I mostly prioritized the first book in the series because my sister was going to read it this month, and so I wanted to read it with her at the same time. But we both loved it so much. We both had to go out and pick up the rest of the series. Unfortunately, I had to get them on audiobook. My library didn't have the physical copies, but that's okay. I did kind of buzz through those books.
Honestly, probably right now is the best time.
All right, where was I? So apparently we're gonna go to Universal Studios tomorrow, so that's cool. Anyways, so I want to do a reread with the physical copies whenever my library gets them in. I went and put them on hold, even though I went over. Right after that, I went to Overdrive and checked them out there. Actually, I had to get one on Overdrive and one on Hoopla because they didn't have both. I had to finish the series. It was that good. But anyways, I really liked Stevie's character. I found her really funny. I really liked her banter, and I like, what was it? Okay, so here's a funny moment. Her mother gave her that look again, and then it says in parenthesis is like her inner monologue. She says, "We kind of wanted the going out, shopping, prom going type, and we got this weird, creepy one. And we love it, but what is it talking about ever?" That's so funny, but like that's her personality. Here's another funny moment here. Ellingham ran like a college. You went to your classes and your time between them was yours to make of as you wanted. No moving along with the crush of your high school hallway. No study halls that stank of Doritos and dishwasher steam from the cafeteria. This was like being an adult. So we stood there in the rain like an idiot. Everyone else seemed to have some idea. Oh, that was really funny. Oh, here's another one. Okay, so she's talking to her new roommates, her new housemates, and she says, "I study crime," she said. "To do it or stop it," Ellie said. "To stop it," Stevie said. "But it probably works either way." I don't know why, that was so funny. I was like, that's a good question. We just assume it's to stop it, but like, this is the first page, okay? "The moose is a lie," Stevie Bell said. Her mother turned to her, looking like she often looked. A bit tired, forced to engage in whatever Stevie was about to say, out of parental obligation. "What?" she said. Stevie pointed out the window of the coach. "See that?" Stevie indicated a sign. Simply read, "Moose." "We passed about 5 of those." "There's a lot of promises, not one moose." "Stevie, they also promised falling rocks." "Where are my falling rocks?" "Do you really want falling rocks like while you're riding along the street?" "Stevie, I'm a strong believer in truth in advertising," Stevie said. This resulted in a long pause. Stevie and her parents had many conversations about the nature of truth and fact, and this might, on another day, have erupted into an argument. That opening paragraph, like that opening page, just had me. So this book made it to one of my favorite books of this year so far list. We'll see if it maintains that status. I think the only thing I didn't care for in the series as a whole is the romance. Little too insta love. What are you gonna do? It's like YA literary culture. So basically it just comes with the territory. I just realized that I did not give a synopsis of this, and it is looking dark and gloomy outside. I wonder if we're gonna get some rain. I just hope it doesn't rain on us tomorrow since we are going out. But it takes place in an elite school in the mountains of Vermont. This school was founded by a man named Albert Ellington, and he calls his mansion the Ellingham Academy. He wanted to make a school for special kids to nurture their unique talents. And these kids are ultimately regarded as the best in their field of expertise. He offers these kids position at his school for free. Everything is paid for, and he also makes sure that they have all the resources at their fingertips that they need. So if that means ordering a library full of books like he did for Dottie, then so be it. So 80 years ago, there had been a crime, and along with it, a ransom note signed by Truly Devious. Stevie is our history buff, and she specifically studies the Ellingham Academy crime. So she comes to the school to solve the crime. Meanwhile, another crime happens. So throughout this series, we are following two mysteries and trying to solve them. Next, I listened to The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and this book was narrated by Kristien Atherton and Michael Fox. Michael Fox doesn't have as many points to narrate as Kristien does, but I just wanted to call out Kristien Atherton specifically. She did such a good job. She has such a soothing voice, in my opinion. I just could listen to her voice forever. I really want to specifically look up books that she has narrated before. I knew people were talking about this book for a while, but I didn't know that it's actually a story of the Iliad. I think it's the Iliad. I only heard about this because this was the first book choice for the DA Book Club, which I only heard about after it was already done. It was Emmy who explained that this book is actually the women of the Iliad. I think the Iliad. But you also do meet Odysseus in this book too. But I know the Iliad and the Odyssey go together. But anyways, so this book is basically from the women's perspective, and you follow our main character. She's a female. Sorry, I don't remember her name. She is a Trojan woman who was captured by Achilles and rewarded to Achilles as a slave. Basically a sex slave. That's her primary purpose, is to be available for him whenever he wants her. Needless to say, this is an adult book. It is very graphic. There is a lot of brutality and physical and sexual abuse in this. Inconsensual, unconsensual, it's not consensual sex. So yeah, adult themes. Anyways, so she serves Achilles, and then she gets captured or stolen or given to Odysseus, and basically is no more than a bargaining chip. From this woman's perspective, we can see the stories of the other women who were put in similar situations. Some of them are taken as sex slaves, as she is, and some of them are not, and they have other duties. Also, I definitely think it's an interesting take of the men in this situation, like Achilles from her perspective, and Odysseus and the other men in their circle. Also, we get to see the politics of the war and everything going on, and like her position, how she needs to act and behave, and just so much. It was so good. We also explore what happens to the women who get pregnant and the women who are no longer wanted anymore or who get replaced. So just, it covers a lot, and it's done so well. I loved this book. I really did. I really look forward to also reading next the Song of Achilles. I actually have that checked out for like, I think another 10 days on Hoopla. I should probably get to listening to that before it expires. That happens to me a lot. I'll check out a whole bunch of stuff and like max out my Hoopla checkouts, and then I'll like read half of them. It's bad. But anyway, Song of Achilles, it's along the same vein. I'm really not sure too much about it. I've just heard amazing reviews about it. And also Emmy suggests that if you're interested in reading like the Iliad and the Odyssey, those are really difficult reads. So if you preface it and read Silence of the Girls, Song of Achilles, it'll prep you for reading those other books. So maybe, I'm hoping next year I'm going to read a lot more classics, but we'll see. I was hoping this year I'd squeeze one or two in, but the Shadowhunters series really has kept me quite busy. Finally, I read Ninth House. I read this one for the Dark Academics book club, and also it fit into a prompt for the Fantasy-a-thon. The Fantasy-a-thon actually runs until July 4th, so I'm not really talking about Fantasy-a-thon, plus I have a vlog for that. But anyways, this book is the first in the Alex Stern series by Leigh Bardugo. It's her first adult supernatural series. It's about Alex Stern. She can see grays, or in other words, ghosts. She has suffered a lot of trauma from that, just living with that. So she has spent the better part of her teen to adult life. She's a young adult. No, she's like how old is she? I can't remember how old is she. Maybe she's like 25, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, she started really young, and she spent the better part of all these years self-medicating until an accident happens and she gets noticed by the Dean of Yale. The Dean of Yale pays her a visit in the hospital and recruits her to the Ninth House, to getting a full ride to Yale, also starting out at Lethe House, which is the Ninth House in the secret societies of Yale. These secret societies work with magic, and they conjure up all this magic for like personal gain and political advancement. They kind of hint at it, but they don't really talk about that a whole lot. Yeah, so this book, first it's a reread. I kind of explained this a couple different times in other videos, but in case you haven't seen those videos, I read this in December. I was so excited for this book. Like, I was in love with the Shadow and Bone series. I was in love with Six of Crows. I love the whole Grishaverse, and so I was so excited for this book. I couldn't get my hands on it, so I listened to it on audiobook, and I hated it. And then I was like, well, maybe I just missed a lot because it was an audiobook. So I was really looking forward to the opportunity to read the physical book. So I finally got a copy. I ended this book loving it, despite some of the issues. Now, there's actually, in retrospect, there's a lot more issues to this book. So I have no idea how to rate this book. I think I'm ending it with like 3 stars. Actually, I haven't really told my ratings on any of these books. You can always check out my Goodreads link and see the exact rating. But anyways, I think I'm giving this one like a 3 star, just because like I love aspects of this book, and then the writing just fucked it up. As much as I like it, I just cannot ignore all the issues with this book, with the writing. I have to agree with a lot of things that the girls from the DA Book Club were saying in their live show. I think the most obvious problem with this book is the timeline. I just don't think doing this dual timeline and dual perspective on top of it with flashbacks was the best way to tell the story. I think that it's way too confusing. It's just too much. On top of just a lot of information being thrown at you, a lot of info dumping, a lot of just trying to do too much overall. Each thing was very interesting though, so like I hate to knock it because I enjoyed it, but then as the book came to a close, there's things that were brought up that we never got any explanation on, never got any closure on, wound up not being important at all. So despite how interesting it was unnecessary. And then things that are necessary could have used more explanation. So you can see where maybe some of that stuff should have been left out and more attention given to some of the bigger plot points. This is supposed to be a series, so I'm hoping for better editing, better writing. Maybe she's going to see a lot of this feedback and try to bring it together a little bit more cohesively. I think I will give the next one a try because I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping that she'll be like, maybe I should have edited that more or something like that. That seems to be something else a lot of the girls were saying, or Carolyn, I think specifically, was saying that she just kept feeling like it wasn't edited. And there's even like a moment in there is a bad sentence. Like, did somebody even read this sentence? No. So the fact that it's held at Yale, and the reason we read this for the DA Book Club is because the DA Book Club is short for Dark Academics Book Club, because they like to focus on books, dark academia books. And so the fact that this was at a very prestigious school and it's a dark supernatural book. Like, it was perfect for the DA book club, right? But when it comes to the academics part, there really was no talk what it's like to be a student at Yale. And I think a lot of us would really have liked more of that. I would have liked more of that. Like, our main character isn't really an academic. She like is going to classes, but you never hear that she's going to classes, only referencing it in passing that she's got work to do. We get a lot of Yale history, which I think is really cool, but I'm gonna have to agree with the girls on this one as well, that it felt like a show of how much research she did. I don't know, I didn't care for it that much, and it was like really dry, and I felt like it could have been more engaging. Something else I really struggled with this book was that I had to keep going back a lot to kind of like figure out what the hell was going on. There was one instance in particular where we have about 4 pages, and it's a nice flow talking about her childhood and the trauma that she went through. I like that. I like the flashback and everything. But then we like jump forward to another instance, and it's like a paragraph. Jump even further into the future. It was like we're going in the timeline, and then we're back to the present, and then we go back. It was all over the place. It was chaotic. It really messed with the flow. So yeah, unfortunately, it could have been done so much better. It's a book that I really want to read. So I don't have the heart to completely knock it, because everything about it is like what I want. It just wasn't done well. I really liked the magic. I liked that Leigh uses all these really cool different tools and like grave dirt and salt and other things at their disposal for assistance. A lot of rules to the magic system that I really appreciated and really like. Overall, I'm really pleased with my reading. I'm gonna go ahead and drop some stats in here, kind of what's coming up next. That is 8 books that I finished this month. As I said earlier, I finished 8 books. I DNF'd 2 books this month. One of them I pretty much read the whole book anyways. There was about 100 pages in the middle that I didn't read. And we'll talk about that later. I'm gonna do a video on books I've DNF'd lately, so I'll talk about that then. 4 of the books were physical books, coming in at 1,766 pages. One of those was an ebook, which I'm really pleased with because I really struggle with reading through ebooks and I really want to do better. 4 of them were audiobooks, coming in at about 39 hours and 25 minutes of listening time. I listened to approximately 2 times the speed, so cut that in half. We're closer to about 20 hours approximately listening time. The best book of the month, I have to go with Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. The worst book of the month, unfortunately, has to go to Ninth House. So again, Fantasy-a-thon runs until July 4th, and then on the 6th, Cramathon starts. So July 6th, Cramathon starts, and I am doing vlogs for those events. I'm also currently reading Axiom's End. I didn't even hold up those other books. I brought them all the way from my bookshelves downstairs and didn't even hold them up, whatever. I'm also currently reading Axiom's End, Bane Chronicles. I'm getting through that one slowly. I look forward to finishing it because then I really cannot wait to get into Tales of the Shadowhunters series, short story collection. I feel like I'm gonna like those so much better. I don't know why I'm slogging through the Bane Chronicles. Like, I like them. They offer something, but I'm just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just antsy or something in general. I already knew that they were not going to add anything to the story. I mean, how can you say they don't add anything to the story? They add to Magnus's character. It's like the same as saying like Red Scrolls doesn't add anything. I mean, they don't really progress the plot line. They have their own just story. So I hate thinking about it like that, but for some reason, I'm just kind of like, whatever. Anyways, also listening to Every Hearted Doorway. I've literally been trying to read that one so long. I've downloaded it a bunch of times. I've tried to listen to it a few times and just couldn't get into it. But this time around is going well. Oh, one more thing. Here we go. Let's see if I can tick off anything on the If You've Got It, Read It challenge. Again, by the Spine Breakers. I will leave their information below as well. Okay, so read a book you've had on a past TBR. Truly Devious would work for that. We've got number 1. Ooh, you know what? I really don't have that many books that are super short unless you want to count graphic novels, but I'm going to go ahead with the book that came in at 166 pages, Dead Poets Society. We're going to go ahead and tick off number 9. A book with your favorite color in the cover, Ninth House. I love black. It's my favorite color. We're going to go ahead and tick off number 12. A book by one of your favorite authors, being Cassandra Clare. Now keep in mind, these are books that I already own, that are already on my shelves. No library books, nothing like that. All right, so I was able to take off a few more. I have, so there's 24 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of 24. Is there anything else I need to cover? I don't think so. I think I was contemplating covering different things I've like watched, like other types of media. I really like how Kat at Stars and Embers does that. She does like I kind of want to do that too. But anyways, we'll see. Maybe I'll try to do that coming up soon. All right, so that wraps up my month of reading. So if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below and hit subscribe if you like. If you click the bell, you will get notifications when I post new videos, and I would be so thankful for the support. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.